Over the past few years, I've pushed my body to the absolute max, learning new skills within fitness which I once upon a time thought I'd never be able to achieve. After 20 plus years of only focusing on the gym, it was time for me to seek something fresh. So in conjunction with my strength training, I started to learn things like calisthenics, a skill that combines strength, static ability, balance, and mindset all rolled into one. I then moved into rock climbing, a humbling sport that demands mobility, function, strength, but now I endeavor on a new mission. Can I combine everything I've done in the last 20 plus years in health and fitness to become a half decent arm wrestler? Well, let's find out. So something that I've learned in the last few years, and it's something I've always known, but I just haven't implemented it enough, is how important it is to actually warm up. Okay, and I think it's become even more apparent now that I've started doing more, I suppose, athlete-based styles of training, that if you don't warm up, you're going to get injured. And all those little niggles that you can experience in your tendons and joints, they're things that can really, really stop you from progressing in what you want to achieve. So do yourself a favor, every time you go into the gym, it doesn't matter if you're training for arm wrestling or calisthenics or just going in to do a basic weights training session, please give yourself the time to warm up, because I think a lot of people don't think any further ahead than the session that they're actually doing. If you want to have good mobility your whole life, if you want to remain as injury free as you can, if you want to train for a long time, take your warm up seriously, because trust me, it'll probably be one of the best investments you ever make. So basically what I'm doing now is just getting some movement, some blood flow through my wrists and forearms. Obviously with arm wrestling, the biggest components in arm wrestling is obviously the wrists and the forearms. So spending a little bit of time on that just to get some blood flow, super crucial. And again, please remember, I'm in the early days, the first couple of weeks of my arm wrestling career, if you want to call it that. So I'm just going through this process at the moment of figuring some things out myself, and I'm also getting knowledge off YouTube, and I'm also gaining a lot of knowledge and experience from the people that I'm arm wrestling at the club that I've joined. One thing I will say about starting something new as well is it's exciting, okay? When you've got new things to learn, it can be really, really motivating. For example, when I walk into the gym just to do a strength training session, I've been there, I've done that. I'm not saying I'm the world's biggest expert, but I know a lot more than most people. But when I come in and start a new sport, it's extremely exciting because there's so much to learn. And it's definitely important to leave your ego out of things as well. Don't start something and think that you're going to be the best at it or really good at it, because the chances are you may not be, but enjoy the journey. So this is just a karate belt attached to the cable machine. And this technique in arm wrestling, from what I gather, is called rising, okay? There's so much pulling involved in arm wrestling that I wasn't actually expecting. I thought it was all just about pushing and driving your opponent down, but the act of actually getting yourself set and pulling back and rising is a huge element of arm wrestling. And there's probably a lot of people, particularly the gym scene or bodybuilders right now, looking at this and thinking, hang on, you've got to get a full range of motion to stretch that bicep out, to get a contraction, to get what you need out of the exercise. It's actually not like that in arm wrestling. Everything that you do in arm wrestling, from what I gather, is about keeping yourself close. You want this angle short, and you want that angle to be quite short too. Keeping yourself close in, getting that tension, and rising back. Just a light weight here at the moment, just warming up, getting the elbows warm. One thing I have found in my first couple of weeks of arm wrestling is the long head bicep and those tendons and ligaments deep down in the elbow. I've really felt it. The best way I can describe it, it's like a toothache. It's not surface soreness like you sometimes get with the gym. It's deeper down. And that's one thing that the experienced arm wrestlers have told me, is that although you might be muscularly strong, like, you know, you're strong, but your ligaments, your tendons, your bones aren't ready yet. So you've got to be really careful. And I'll be honest, in the first couple of weeks, I've certainly gone a little bit too hard. So there's been some anti-inflammatories and some massage guns involved every single night to help me sleep. And again, I'll be the first to admit, I don't even know if what I'm doing at the moment is 100% accurate in terms of structure or in terms of technique, but I'm just putting in the time at the moment, laying down a bit of a foundation. And these are things that I'm just more than happy to iron out as I go. I know that I'm somewhat in the ballpark, and for me at the moment, that's all that matters. So from what I've learned so far, there's another really crucial element in arm wrestling, which is your pronating. So basically when you're up against an opponent, you want to have like this strong pronation, because I believe the objective is to not let them break that pronation, to break that wrist, because the second that you get into this position, you've lost all of your strength. So your ability to turn is really, really important. So there's a few exercises from what I can see that you can utilize to strengthen that. But I'm going to use the cable machine today, again with the jiu-jitsu strap, just to work on that pronation. Again, I'm learning. There's a very high chance I'm doing this wrong, but we'll go on this journey together. We can only get better. So a little bit lighter on this at the moment, just to warm up. But as you can see, I've got the jiu-jitsu strap pulling down on me here. So the cable tension is dragging me down, and all I'm using is that weight and tension to just strengthen that twist. So I believe this is something that's really good to just go a little bit higher volume with something like this and just kind of rep out. And I've found for myself at the moment, from the small amount of arm wrestling that I have done, is this kind of position here is something where I do lack a little bit of strength. I find that if I'm in like a static position, I'm quite strong, but the second that I come up against some of these blokes who have got amazing technique, they're just rolling my wrist over like that, and there's nothing that I can do about it. So I know for me, this is something I need to strengthen. And I can tell you what, the amounts of tension that you can feel through your wrist and through your forearms, like muscles that you've never ever trained before, it's kind of exciting. It's really cool. So I hear a lot of professional arm wrestlers talk about something called cupping. Okay, if you ever see like a picture of two arm wrestlers standing together, you'll notice that they're always kind of doing that. Okay, this is obviously to show off that immense forearm that they build up, but that cupping position is something that's really important in arm wrestling as well. If you can have a strong cup, something that's really hard to break, to get past, you're going to be a pretty deadly arm wrestler. So there's a lot of exercises I see that you can utilize to work on your cup. but this is one that I've seen a lot of people do, and it's basically just utilizing a cable and I think just pulling yourself down like so. And from what I gather, it seems like this is something that a lot of people do in like a higher rep range. So, 20, 30, 40, 50 reps, just to build up that strength, build up that endurance. And again, I cannot stress that with arm wrestling, the amount of muscles that you're going to feel throughout your forearm, throughout your wrists, it's things that you've never ever experienced before. And I know that a lot of people who come from like a bodybuilding background think that they can just walk into arm wrestling and be really, really great because you can barbell curl a heap of weights or you're super strong in the gym. Yes, it's good to have like this base level of strength, but it doesn't necessarily cross over too specifically to arm wrestling itself because of this wrist action, because of all these intricate muscles in your forearm. I think for myself, the reason why I feel like I am half decent at the moment, and this is just based off what a lot of the guys at the arm wrestling club have said. Apparently I'm pretty decent, I'm pretty strong. They think that I might have a half decent future in arm wrestling, but I do put it down to, yes, having 20 plus years of strength training, so I've got a good base level of strength. But the last few years, the athletic sports that I've selected have required a lot of wrist strength, a lot of forearm strength, indoor bouldering, calisthenics. Those two combinations, I think, have given me that good crossover into being half decent at arm wrestling in the beginner stage. Oh my Lord. So just warming up now for more of a traditional, I suppose, bodybuilding strength style movement, a seated dumbbell shoulder press. My intention with my, I suppose, traditional strength movements now isn't to, get a bodybuilder physique. I'm not chasing a physique anymore. This isn't even necessarily to build more muscle. I'm just focusing on maintaining a good base level of strength. So for that reason, I'm not doing like super high rep ranges anymore. I'll do a couple warm-up sets, and then I'll just look at doing probably 3 sets of about 6 repetitions. And whilst I'm doing this, I'm obviously thinking about developing strength in my shoulders and triceps, but I'm also utilizing this as an opportunity to use a heavy load to continue to increase and develop good, healthy shoulder mobility. And my last exercise for today is a dumbbell skull crusher. The reason I've chosen to use dumbbells is because it's a unilateral movement, meaning I'm going to get even symmetry and strength from both right side to left. Please keep in mind that if you're always doing your tricep movements with, say, a rope push down or a straight bar push down, chances are you may start to find yourself getting some uneven strength or uneven symmetry from right to left. And because things like rock climbing and arm wrestling are so forearm and bicep dominant, it's really important for me to make sure that I do focus on that antagonist muscle group as well. It's basically its partner to ensure that I'm getting healthy joints, because too much of just doing one thing, one plane of motion, is always going to basically result in disaster. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and comment, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.